Hello wannabe mechanics, in this video we'll be performing a brake job on a 2014 VWCC which applies to most VAG autos with electric braking system like the Volkswagen Passat B6, B7, B8, the Golf MK6, MK7 or the A4 after 2011, A6 after 2010, the Tiguan and others. It is a very simple job, excellent for beginners, and if you follow the 4 easy steps, trust me, you can't get it wrong. Also, we will show you tricks on how to replace professional tools with simple ones so that you don't spend a lot of money on stuff that you rarely use. If you find the video interesting, please subscribe or give it a thumbs up so you can support our endeavor to teach others how to perform various operations on their own cars, saving lots of money, and why not doing a better job than a daily mechanic who won't invest the same effort like you would. Don't go anywhere guys, I'll meet you back in the shop right after a short intro. The two methods that we will be presenting in this episode are the one using a scan tool if you have one, and number two where you don't need any scanning software. The two methods are intertwined, but it's easy to notice the difference between them. The tools we will be needing for today are a regular jack, a breaker bar and a 17mm socket, an universal brake piston press replaceable by any two box end wrenches, a ratchet and a file, a T30 Torx, an M8 bit spline, two flat end screwdrivers, a 13mm ratcheting wrench or a regular 13mm wrench and a regular 15mm wrench. Lug nut cap extractor, you should find it next to your spare wheel, a metal wire brush and a paintbrush. Of course your new brake pads, and some WD-40 multifunctional spray plus some grease. First of all, you'll have to place the gear in parking. There's no need to use the parking brake. If you are using a spacer, be sure to remove it. I have linked below a video about spacers which I think you will find pretty interesting. After you have jacked up the car, slide under the right rear axle a jack stand or a tough object. Then make sure it's firmly in place. If you pay attention to the parking brake schematic, you'll easily understand the working principles behind it. Now it's time to remove the brake caliper. Now you'll have to grab the caliper with both hands and pull firmly so that the piston retracts just enough for the caliper to break free. Then just wiggle it a little bit so it comes off. Here we are using a press to retract the caliper's piston. You can also do that using the two wrenches shown in the beginning of the video. Make sure you've sprayed down enough WD-40 onto the T30 bolts connecting the electrical motor to the caliper. As I told you before, if you don't have a diagnostic tool, this time after you've pressed the piston back inside, you will have to retract the adjusting bolt using an M8. Clean the rust off the caliper bracket and put some grease on the rail of the metal hardware. Make sure you don't grease the rotor. If that accidentally happens, make sure to wipe it off using a brake cleaner. The new brake pads come with an interesting spring system, which is meant to assure uneven wear of the brake pads, retracting them from the rotor when there is no pressure on the piston. When you are tightening the bolts, you can apply the torque recommended by the manufacturer using a torque wrench, or if you don't have one, just hand tighten the bolts. Press the brake pedal a few times until pressure is built up. Thank you very much for watching. Use the comments section for any questions or suggestions, and if you find our videos interesting, make sure you subscribe for the latest wannabe mechanic videos. Bye bye.